Hello and welcome to the Working Tools Masonic Podcast. Today we'll be conferring with Right Worshipful Brother Dick Auty, who helped to found the Cancer Car program in British Columbia.
Ladies and gentlemen, brethren all, welcome to the Working Tools Podcast, a casual conversation around Freemasonry. First, it's important to note that our opinions and thoughts are our own and do not reflect those of our Grand Lodge or respective craft or concordant bodies. Please connect with us and ask questions, either here on YouTube or on our Facebook page. We'd also appreciate a thumbs up and especially any comments on our videos.
For joining us this evening. I'm Matt Appel, and I'm here with the brother of a lodge in the Grand Lodge of Washington, and I'm here with David Colbeth, who belongs to a lodge in the Grand Lodge of Washington, and brother Steve Chung, who's up in British Columbia and is going to introduce our special guest for the evening. Steve.
And really excited to introduce our special guest, Right Worshipful Brother Dick Auty from Kelowna, British Columbia. He's past master of St. George's Lodge here, and he's past district deputy grand master and the fellow currently in charge of our Masonic Cancer Car program in the Okanagan. And I'll hand it over to Dick. Say hi, Dick.
Good evening.
And so tonight, we've been very excited and waiting for you to come on this show, because these two fellows in the States have heard about you through him, but they don't know a lot about the Cancer Car program. And this venue is a great medium for you to be able to get your message out, explain about the program, and all our listeners now and moving forward that'll play this on YouTube over and over again will be able to learn about the Cancer Car program, how it started, and where it's at today.
Okay, the Freemasons or Masonic Cancer Car program started in 1988 as a result of the Freemasons looking for something to do hands-on as opposed to simply offering financial assistance to various areas in the community. A 15-year agreement with a handshake was made with the Canadian Cancer Society, whereby in the province of BC, we would provide vehicles and drivers to transport cancer patients to the Cancer Treatment Center, which was in Vancouver, the only one at the time, which meant people were coming from all over the province, coming in by train at that time, or plane or bus, and we would pick them up and get them to where they were staying so they could get their cancer treatments. And when a cancer center opened on Vancouver Island in Victoria, we placed 5 vehicles on Vancouver Island. Again, we purchased them all, paid the insurance, the maintenance, the fuel, and the Cancer Society provides the location and the riders. When a cancer center opened in the interior in Kelowna, we immediately started a program in the Okanagan in 1998, and we now have 4 vehicles which bring cancer patients in on a daily basis. Our longest trip is about 2.5 hours each way. From Kamloops or from the U.S. border up to Kelowna. And we also have a vehicle in Kelowna which picks people up at the airport or bus, or if they're staying in a motel as opposed to the lodge, or if they're staying with relatives or bed and breakfast, we'll get them back and forth every day for their treatments. And so The program is now 31 years old. We've gone from the handshake agreement to, of course, highly specialized and well-written contracts, but we are still providing the service for the cancer patient at no charge to the Cancer Society. Just very quickly, I can tell you in the Okanagan that we have put well over 1 million kilometers on our vehicles. We have done close to 40,000. I'm sorry. Let me go to the other column here. 159,000 patient trips, 4.5 million kilometers in those 21 years.
Wow.
And pretty well accident-free, excellent drivers, all volunteers. Only about 25% now are active Masons. Others are people who have heard of the program, maybe have been riders, have relatives who have ridden with us, and they want to help out to assist the program. So
That's
the dispatch center, which is operated by volunteers. We have, over the 21 years, I've had over 1,000 volunteers registered in the database. There's a few that are still there from the original 21 years ago. Some stay for a year, some stay for 5 years, 10 years, and so on. But we have currently about 200 volunteers in the Okanagan area. And
that's some amazing numbers. Those numbers are just for the Okanagan. That's not
yes,
the Lower Mainland.
These are the only numbers that I can give you right up to date are for the Okanagan.
So are there 3 dispatch centers and homes, if you will, 3 different locations?
In the Okanagan?
No, in BC.
Okay, there's one in Prince George, one in Kelowna for the Okanagan area, one in Vancouver for the Vancouver area, and a kind of a modified dispatch on the island, on Vancouver Island, not a specific dispatch office. It's all done by telephone down there. So yes, there are 3 dispatch centers.
And you currently have about 200 volunteers making it happen in the Okanagan?
In the Okanagan, yes.
Wow. And so that office goes full-time Monday to Friday until the last patient gets home, eh?
Yep. Every day that the cancer clinic operates, the dispatch office is open. It's not a taxi service. You don't just phone and say, I need a ride. It has to be prearranged. And if somebody has 25 treatments coming in from Kamloops who want to come every day, we book them so that we guarantee them a seat. We can only bring 9 people in from Kamloops. We make 1 trip a day. It's the same with from the south, from the border coming up to Kelowna. We can only bring 9 people. 7 from the Vernon area. And so we do have to book ahead of time to guarantee people that they won't be bumped once they get their treatment started, because that's very important to them to know that they have some way to get here.
So it sounds like the demand could actually use more vehicles or larger capacity vehicles.
Well, no, because any larger capacity requires a special license. The 9 passenger, which are 9 riders and a driver, that's 10. You can operate that with a standard Class 5 driver's license. If you go above that, you have to get into a different license category, and that limits then the number of volunteers.
Right. Well, I know actually a couple of family members volunteered there. One lady is my wife's mother-in-law. She, her stepmother, she volunteers there. My wife's dad passed to cancer years ago, and the program was very helpful in their time. And her way of giving back is to be volunteering there now. So I'm sure you get a lot of those types of volunteers, that have been benefited from the program.
Time for some questions, fellas.
So do you you said you have to book it ahead of time. Do the patients have to pay for this service, or is it just completely free? Or
Charge to the rider or to the Cancer Society. The Freemasons pay the shot.
And so actually that's a good question. How is it actually funded?
How is it funded?
Yes.
Well, initially it was funded out of general revenue to purchase the first couple of vehicles. We've had a number of vehicles over the years donated, both by lodges or holding societies, and also in some cases by riders or families of riders. We've had bequests from wills. We have an assessment of $20 per member per year in the jurisdiction, which pays about 45% of the operating costs. The other 55% we get in donations. It drives the accountants crazy when you put that in your budget, but it happens every year. We've never been short on donations. We have a capital account which purchases vehicles, and the operating, we have a number of very good supporters over the years. We've had companies that have said, when you need tires, you come and get them, no charge. We've had others that offer service to the vehicles at a reduced cost. We have two situations where we have car wash cards given to us, left in the vehicle and used every time needed, no charge.
Simply amazing support.
A variety of ways that we manage to keep our costs down.
so just to clarify something you said, so there's a per capita fee of $20 per Mason in British Columbia that goes specifically to this program?
Yes. Over and above the assessment for operation of Grand Lodge, there's a $20 assessment for the cancer car program.
Wow, that's great.
I think that's the only component that nobody complains about how much it is.
Well, we have some concerns from members in areas of our jurisdiction where there is no service. But we say to them, once you get to an area where there's service, you can use it. And the service is not for Masons, it's by Masons. And that pretty well looks after that end of it.
Do the drivers need special training for this program, or can just anyone off the street be a driver?
Well, I have a committee in each area that recruits and trains drivers. There is a training process in addition to a driver abstract, which tells you what their driver's license looks like. They do one or two training runs with an experienced driver, so they get the hang of the whole thing. Each volunteer must fill in a criminal record check, which then is passed on to the Cancer Society. And I've yet to hear of anybody who has been rejected for either the criminal record check or the driver's abstract, but we do keep those up to date. And if there's any concerns expressed by riders, then we have a chat with the driver, and in some cases that person doesn't drive anymore.
So, but they don't need CPR training or anything like that to.
No, there's no special training. It's like taking your neighbor to the grocery store, really. You're doing people a favor. You only need a regular driver's license because there's only 9 passengers maximum in the vehicle, and that under the Motor Vehicle Act, you can drive up to a 10-seat vehicle with that Class 5 license. We don't accept people who are can't get in and out of the vehicles on their own. We're not allowed from a liability situation to help people in and out. They must be able to get on their own. We're not wheelchair accessible. And we will bring a caregiver if we have room. If somebody needs assistance, then we say, well, you'll have to have a caregiver with you. It's all about liability insurance.
So what would you say is the most challenging part of the program?
Well, the challenging part, I think, is educating the rider to the fact that we are providing a free service and we require their cooperation. We have to know their appointment times. They have to be able to get to pick up points. That is, we don't go door to door in Kamloops and pick people up. They have to get to a pickup point in central Kamloops. The same in Penticton, the same down south, every place. It's pickup points, because if, for example, we might have the Kamloops van when it comes through Vernon pick people up. We can't expect the Kamloops drivers to know the city of Vernon, and we don't have time. We guarantee being in the clinic in Kelowna by 10 o'clock in the morning, which means the driver is at his van by 6:30 in the morning to get it warmed up and ready and moved up to the pickup point so that he can be out of Kamloops by 10 after 7 in order to get to Kelowna by 10. The responsibility of the rider to ensure that the clinic knows that they're riding with us, and then they won't book them after 1 o'clock in the afternoon so that we can get everybody home again. So that's probably the biggest challenge of all is educating the rider and keeping in touch with the booking office at the clinic.
Well, unfortunately, we're running out of time for this episode of the Working Tools podcast. So we'll come back here in our next episode and continue our conversation with Right Worshipful Brother Dick Auty. But for now, thank you very much for listening to the Working Tools podcast, and we'll be back next week. Have a good week. Bye.